comrades. I'm very excited to be at my home local and campus and bring greetings from the 250 QP 1334 workers who are trades, maintenance, and service workers on this campus. But I'm very privileged today also to be bringing greetings of solidarity as the chair of QP Ontario University Workers, representing 33,000 academic and support workers at 17 public universities across this province. It's clear this attack on the Canadian Federation of Students and local student unions is the same attack on QP and, in fact, in all workers in the university system. Your fight is our fight. QP represents grad students, and we represent members of QP 1281 who work at OPERGs, radio stations, at student and faculty unions, women and gender empowerment centers, all facing the loss of jobs and services. All workers in Ontario are appalled by the Doug Ford government's shameful attempt to use an announcement to announce tuition fee reduction in an attempt to hide a $600 million cut to student financial assistance and a $440 million cut to university and colleges budgets. In addition, this cynical attack on stable funding for independent democratic student unions is an outrage shared across the labor movement. Ontario workers and students are united in our opposition to these cuts and attack, which threatens education quality, accessibility, and student life on campus. In addition to the devastating effect on institutions' budgets, this will lead to hundreds of layoffs from quality jobs on campuses and slash student services. QP makes the following recommendations, and we are prepared to fight to implement them. Number one, independent student unions and student democracy is an essential process in learning how democracy works in the rest of society and should be respected and protected. Establish protections for the universal collection of student union dues and levies established by democratic referendum for all students who are registered in post-secondary institutions. Two, QP rejects the marketization and privatization approaches to funding public services. QP calls for the establishment of a funding framework for public post-secondary educations that supports high-quality services. 3, deferred maintenance in post-secondary education is undermining the quality and safety of education and increasing operating costs at public institutions. QP recommends public investment in recertifying deferred maintenance deficits for aging infrastructure on Ontario campuses. 4, outsourcing is a symptom of underfunding that transfers the costs of public services from the government to the worker by driving down wages and undermining working conditions. Public institutions should be places for decent work, not contributing to low wages and precarious employment. QP recommends the establishment of a regulation to ban the practice of outsourcing regular work within our public institutions. QP also recommends the establishment of a fair funding formula to support employment of frontline workers in our institutions. 5, students should have access to quality, diverse, and accessible post-secondary education opportunities in their communities driven by independent institutions. QP calls for a rejection of the funding policy that promotes differentiation. 6, tuition fees are barriers to access. However, the current funding framework has moved to institutions relying on fees to fund half of their operation. The solution to accessible post-secondary education is fully funded tuition fee reductions, dollar-for-dollar transition, and the maintenance of a needs-based grant to support student housing and living costs. 7, student loans disproportionately affect low-income students and those from marginalized communities. The government should extend the repayment assistance plan that pays down the principal of already established loans. 8, the right to free expression is important in post-secondary education institutions and campuses as anywhere else in society. QB recommends the government reaffirms its commitment to protections of the constitutional right to free expression and abandon all laws that restrict the right to assemble or undermine safe spaces for free expression on campuses. 9, mental health supports are essential for positive post-secondary education. QB demands that the government fully fund mental health services on Ontario campuses from the mental health and addiction budget lines. QB is committed to ensuring all these recommendations are enacted upon. QB is committed to taking this fight into the classroom, into our workplaces, to the streets, to Queen's Park, wherever we need to go to demand a post-secondary education system that is publicly funded, high quality, accessible, and tuition-free. United workers and students can achieve. United workers and students will never be defeated. Peace and solidarity.